histograms, pet photography, and did you watch me on Facebook Live? Hey everyone, welcome to Keep Shooting Monday, number 129. My name is Greg Cazillo from Cazillo.com. I have started doing Facebook Live for Keep Shooting Mondays. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how many viewers I get. I shot the setup today so that we could, kind of talk about some things. I talked about my audio setup. I talked about my video setup. Maybe I'll do more of that stuff as time goes on and, kind of add some additional how-to kind of stuff to this, which is fun, and show a little more equipment, answer some questions when I can. The only thing that I can't do is I can't see any comments when people do comment on them or ask a live question because the iPad is way over there behind the camera. So that's just the way it goes. So yeah, watch me on Facebook Live. As of right now, I'm going to try and do noon Eastern time on Mondays. We will see if it is if it's a good, bad. Maybe I'll try some other evening ones. We will see. But watch out for new Facebook Live stuff, because I think it's going to be an interesting platform, and they're finally supporting it. So that is a good thing. This week I actually bought, or actually I guess it was last week, doesn't matter. I got a new video tripod from eBay. It is an older Bogan, and I forgot to grab the model number, but I'll let you know. I'll put it down below. It's an older Bogan video tripod, and I have a super heavy duty one that comes with my crane that I have shown you before, but it is just too heavy to move around, and it's cumbersome, and it just doesn't work out. So I needed something lighter and quicker. And the key to a video tripod is to be able to adjust it and have it level very easily and quickly. And so that was why I wanted to go that route. There are tons of other, I have all the other tripods, a number of different ones that I have, but they all have just a solid head. They don't have the ball head, and that ball head allows you to very easily adjust the level of that quickly, easily, and so that's what I switched to. Works out great, and I have everything rigged on it right now, and so so far so good. I do like that. So that's an update on my stuff. Thought I would get into a bunch of Cazillion questions today. I wonder if anybody knows if you can make the Nikon D700's top display show the current ISO setting rather than showing the number of remaining shots. At the moment, the ISO setting is only shown when actually pressing down the ISO button, and kind of used to checking the top shoulder display to set my exposure. F-Control, I found the setting at least on my D800. Not sure about your D700, but hopefully it is the same. Basically, I found it in a custom menu number D7, and it's called ISO Display and Adjustment. Change it to Show Frame Count. That should basically change that top display. Like I said, on mine, it just like you described, it would show the ISO rather than the remaining frame count. That's been something that I've been looking for a while, and it's been really bothering me. Like the other day, I was shooting an event, and it's been such a habit for years and years and years just to check that top display for the remaining number of images it can fit on the card. And it was right before a really important part of the shot or of the event, and so instead of just worrying about it, I switched out the card. But then right after I did switch out the card, I realized that I could just look inside of the viewfinder and see the number of images that are left, and so it worked out, and it was fine. But yeah, so thank you for finally making me find that. Hopefully that will help you to make that adjustment, and let me know if it does work on the D700. Do you have tips for me making portraits of dogs with a Nikon 50 1.8G? Thank you for your question, Canarino. I've actually been doing some additional pet photography lately. I've been working with a local magazine, and so I do definitely have some tips, and these are recent tips, some recent things that I've experienced. The number one thing is if you're shooting with a fixed focal length lens, you're going to need to be creative with your composition. Otherwise, you're going to end up cropping a lot. It might not be an issue if you're shooting a larger dog. If you're shooting a smaller dog, like a couple that I've been photographing lately, I ended up switching to the 70 to 200 for the one dog, and you know, basically you need to be able to crop in and get tight, but also you don't want to have to sacrifice that and have all this extra space if you happen to be moving backwards. That dog is going to move. He's not going to sit there where you want him to. Even somebody like me, it just takes a lot of time and experience to be able to get that dog to be able to sit. What I'll do is actually pull the dog away from the owner and control him on my own, or the dog on my own. That's typically a better way to go rather than try to have the owner do it, because he wants to, you know, the dog is used to the owner, the dog's going to go to the owner. And so they're usually a little bit more calm. Same with kids sometimes. If you want a portrait of just your kids, it's typically a little bit better to have them pull them away if you want to really get just that nice shot of just the kids. And so I'll use that tip. But you're going to need to get creative with the composition, really know your rule of thirds and your foreground, middle ground, background, all those things when you're using a fixed lens. I'd probably suggest a 24 to 70 kind of range, or a 17 to 55 if you're on a crop sensor kind of a lens. That's a good starting lens. They have a good close focus if you wanted to get tight. That's a good lens to kind of start with rather than a 50 millimeter. I'm just not a fan of a 50 millimeter lens. It just it's not super flexible in my mind. You know, it's not good tight and close like an 85 millimeter or a 105 or a 135 for portraits. So if you don't have anything else, great, do it, shoot it. You know, do what you need to do, make it happen. You know, shoot those lenses, shoot the equipment that you have. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you can upgrade, or if you do have something else, try a little bit different lens so that you can zoom in and zoom out and you don't have to crop. Is there any meaning for the height of the histogram? Senthil asked about the histogram and how that works. Basically, there are different areas of the histogram that show you the different tonal values. It's basically a graph of all the tonal values in an image. On the left are your blacks or your super dark tones. On the right are your light tones. And the higher the graph, the more tones in the image that are in that particular area. If you did want to learn more about your histogram, you can head over to this Photo Academy video, which is a really good one. We go really in depth and show a lot of examples of how that histogram works. It is super important to be using your histogram every time your exposure or your area changes or your light is changing. If you're shooting an event, if you go from indoors to outdoors, or if the sun goes in and out, any of those kinds of things are really good times you need to be checking your histogram. That doesn't mean you need to do it in between every single photo. It just means double check it, make sure you're not under or overexposing, especially if you're shooting in a manual mode. It'll also prevent you from overexposing, losing your highlights, underexposing, and also do your best to shoot to the right, pushing as much of that data to the right of the image as possible. So I think that is it for Keep Shooting Monday number 129, our first Facebook Live version. Hopefully there will be plenty more to come. I'm definitely enjoying doing this, and I was just saying to those guys on live that I'm a little bit more relaxed today. I don't know why, but it just seems to be a little bit more relaxed as far as the show is concerned, kind of talking to them, talking to you, going back and forth. So it has been fun. So thanks, guys. Keep shooting.